As Charlie looks around the room, she is aware that all of her senses are on overdrive. She is hypersensitive about everything around her, that is including herself. She is stronger physically and emotionally. She didn't even realize, not fully, how weak she was. She can almost feel her body healing. It's kind of weird, but it's also amazing. It's gentle. It's very gentle. It's like there's this fog that is lifting from around her brain, if that makes any sense at all. And it does. It really does. In the previous conversations with the ladies, her speech pattern has been slower than normal. Not that she had to think of the words to say, but everything was simplified. It was very basic, but that's okay. That's okay. Safe places are simple. A lot of elaborate thoughts, a lot of elaborate words, a lot of elaborate experiences create a lot of clutter. So simple is good. She focuses on the room around her, and the decor is the same, but in addition to that warm, comforting feeling, the beauty, the the beauty is intensified. It's sharp. It's just even more beautiful. She looks at the ladies who are looking at her. She wonders if when she's drifted off, that's what she has chosen to think of it as, because she's already asleep, so she doesn't think that she's going into a deeper place of sleep. But then that's possible. She could be. She notices for the first time that their outfits have changed. She hasn't been focusing on their outfits past that first look. They're always colorful. She could sense that, but now she is looking at the intricate detail of everything, and they're even more beautiful than she thought in the beginning. Their hairstyles, everything about them is just amazing to her. Minka speaks. Well, you are stronger. Yes, I am. And I don't know, I can embrace that. I didn't even know that I was weak. Being here with all of you, I didn't know I didn't know that I needed to get stronger here. I feel so safe. Sophia gives a little chuckle. She says, "Well, it's not that you were weak, baby. It was just that you needed to rest. You needed to allow your body and your mind to recover from the trauma that you suffered. Over there, that is often hard for people to understand. It's often very hard for people to accept. trauma is no small thing. It stops the rhythm of your life. And trauma affects all of us differently. And people make the mistake of comparing someone else's trauma to their own, which is impossible and very unfair. As we told you earlier, your injuries individually are not life threatening, but combined, they will be life changing. You will have to heal physically and emotionally from the scars, but you'll be okay. And as with every challenge that we have, it will definitely make you stronger. So do not be afraid of what you're feeling. One of the things that we know to be true about you is that you are very tuned in to your feelings. You accept your feelings, and your faith allows you to give those feelings to God because you know that you really can't do a lot about them. He will help you to deal with them, but you need his help. And as someone stated earlier, for someone so young, you have a tremendous amount of faith and an even more tremendous understanding of faith. People don't realize that they need to understand it as God gives it to us in the increments that he does. I never thought about it like that. I do know that without God, I am nothing. I know that. I was taught that by my family, but I look at that as they planted the seeds and nourished them along the way. I went through a period where I questioned what I had been taught. Not to the extreme because I trust my family. But my Grammy told me to seek God on my own. And I did that. I did that. I personally think all people should do that. Um, our spiritual journey is our own. And no matter how much our family may love us, it is us. I think it's probably one of the most personal parts of our lives. Saida says it is. It really is. Well, this time is starting off wonderful. And I'm sure that you are figuring out that your time with us will soon be over. Charlie looks down because that doesn't make her happy. There is a sadness knowing that she's going to have to leave this place with these ladies. I have I have mixed feelings about that. I want I need to see my family, and I know they need to see me and see that I'm okay. And you know how secure I am surrounded by the love of my family. But I have never felt what I feel being here with you. Minka Speaks. Well, you don't have to worry about anything with us. And since you are a natural worrier, you don't you're not worrying here. Even your concern for your family's grief regarding what happened to you felt it, but it wasn't worry on the level that you feel when you're there. Here you can rest every part of you, everything. That is why it is the ideal respite. But it's okay. Everything will be okay. And we're not, what is it? What am I trying to say? We will miss you. We haven't had long, intensive conversations, but we didn't need to. We have watched you grow, and we will continue to watch you grow, and we will be here when you need us again. Charlie is visibly relieved to hear that. Sophia says, "Oh, did you think we were going to abandon you?" Well, not abandon me, but I just, I guess I just don't want to lose any of you. So Sophia laughs. Oh, you couldn't lose us if you tried. But don't worry, we won't be popping into your dreams and stuff like the books and the movies. Try to make people believe it's not like that. Our blood runs through your veins. So we're always there. Thank you. That means more than I thank you. Saida speaks. Okay, well, it's my turn to tell you a little bit about myself. And I think I have more drama. My descendants, my direct descendants, and myself, we were a handful. My name means huntress and fortunate. The women directly connected to me are in that's it's perfect. It's a perfect name that was chosen for us. Um for me to represent us. I've always wondered why the fortunate part wasn't the first definition, but huntress is. So what does that mean? What does being a huntress mean? Well, I didn't always use it the way it was meant to be. Of course, I didn't know anything about, well, I knew some things, but not all that it meant. As you know, our people traditionally, or it was normal to name children or to give them names that meant something. We didn't just pull them out of the hat. Or we understand that over there, we just needed to have something that belonged to us. So we had all kinds of combinations and derivatives of names that meant something. So I guess it comes to be the same thing. It's just not, it doesn't appear to be, but it is. But that's another story for another time. I made a lot of bad choices. Um, when I wanted something, I went after it. I was very strategic in my hunt. I loved the attention of men. As you can see, my physical beauty, and let me be clear, we all see beauty in everyone and everything that God created. That is one of the first things that we realized when we came together, is that is a part of our original core. The fact that my complexion is so close to the color of night, and my eyes are such a huge contrast. It has always fascinated men and women. I went through a period in my younger years where I didn't want to stand out so much. I just wanted to blend in. When you stand out, you draw a lot of attention that's not always pleasant. I had to deal with a lot of envy and a lot of pain. Men wanted to control me, and women wanted to make me go away. I didn't take that very well. And there were times that I went on the hunt. I was blessed to live well. I don't have any stories of hunger and physical abuse and so many of the awful things that our women, our daughters, have had to deal with. I have been extremely fortunate in that way. I did not always count my blessings. I did not even always recognize my blessings. And if someone had asked me when I was there if God would see me as a positive child, I would have said no. I felt like my mistakes were just too great. But I was wrong. And I pray that my experiences, and I think of all of us, she glances at her sisters, I probably remember more of generations past. But it's okay because it helps me to help those that come before us. So many of our daughters have to deal with bad choices, the consequences, the manner in which they make these choices, whether it's the men that they choose, the lifestyles that they choose, the lifestyles that they walk away from, the men that they walk away from, how they treat their loved ones, and how they allow their loved ones to treat them. I just hope that my scars that have been healed, thank you, Father, but healed scars are still, they're still there. They don't hurt, but I am aware. So when I do my best to listen to them and very gently guide them, I am coming from a place, like we all are, of knowing what we're talking about. We didn't read it in a book or see it in a movie or hear it around a warm fire where wonderful stories are being told. Not in that sense. Although that is a wonderful way to learn and to teach. That is similar to what we do here. But as we told you earlier, these experiences, what you see around you as we speak, it comes from you. I gave birth to 5 daughters. So it is my part of our journey where a lot of females were born. Beautiful and headstrong and exciting. Interestingly enough, and it could have been my choice of men. Well, that has to do with some of my husbands. I had 3. And only 2 of my daughters look like me. The other 3 looked like their fathers. It was interesting to see how they handle what I used to think of as the war between my complexion and my eye color. They embraced it because by the time they were born, they were even more of a fascination. But yeah, they embraced it and they didn't always have good results from that. From my 5 daughters, I had 10 granddaughters. And our history runs very deep. Very, very deep. I don't know if what I've shared with you gives you a clear picture of who I am, but I think it will help. I'm complicated. I think we all are. Well, we're not complicated now, but when we were there, I think we all contributed to the world around us. Some of us learned our life lessons quicker than others. Our levels of strength are different, but our faith, even with what I've just told you about me and my girls, my faith was always very strong. Even when I was making horrible decisions, my faith was there. It was always there. I remember thinking about it sometimes. God, how can you still love me? How can you love me when I just made a mistake that I knew I shouldn't have made? I should not have gone down that path. I ignored my natural instincts because that's not what I wanted to do. Oh my goodness, arrogant and stubborn. It was, it took generations to make that right. the feelings were so strong. I don't know where they came from. I guess it's just who we were. But it is better. But that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. Life is hard. Oh, it can be wonderful at the same time. I love. I enjoyed being adored. Every woman needs to be adored at least one time in their life. I had many more than one experience. I abuse that too sometimes, but not all the time. I do love really hard. I think I do everything kind of hard. Well, maybe is hard the right word? Mika says no. I don't think hard is the right word. I think you love completely, as much as we humanly can. Yeah, thank you. That makes me feel better. But I have to admit that when I was crossed, not seeking revenge for being hurt was something that was always a battle for me. Most of the time, good won out. But we're being honest, we can't be anything but honest here. That was not always the case. That was not always the case. That doesn't make me feel good. I'm not proud of it. But when I'm speaking to one of my daughters of the present generation and I see their anger and I see their need to hurt because they have been hurt, which is all wrapped up in fear, I understand it. I understand it. I can relate to it and I can do my very best to help them because I can help them from a loving place, not from a place of condemnation and judgment. I, like all of us, we are fascinated by the love between you and your husband. It's always beautiful to see, and we've all experienced that. Um, that's a beautiful thing. That's we know how blessed we are. We know that we've all been hurt. We've all had our hearts broken. And since God is the creator of our heart, He has also healed our hearts to the point that we were not afraid to love again after the initial breaking of our heart. They all laugh at that. And Charlie can see from the expressions on their faces that they are remembering the loves of their lives. You remember, don't you? Becca says, oh, yes, we do remember. And we're thankful that God let us keep those memories. Life there was full. Each one of us lived long enough to see our children grow and our grandchildren grow. We lived long enough to experience what Saida just talked about: love, being adored, being accepted for who we were, and surviving broken hearts. falling in love and falling out of love. And people don't talk about falling out of love. That's not pleasant. That doesn't sell as many books and make as many movies as popular as they could be, which means that there's not a lot of money made, so you don't want to talk about that. That's true. That is true. I've never experienced falling out of love. I've only fallen in love with Sebastian. I've never loved another man. I don't know if I'm capable. Sophia says, it's not always necessary to love more than one man or one woman. Sometimes that's just the way it is. We think that's a blessing too. Yeah, we've had multiple um, experiences, but throughout the generations, there have been many women in our line that have loved one man. So that is good. Saida says, well, my most vivid memories would be that one person. That one person. Although I have loved more than one man at a time. I know that some people don't think that's possible, but I know for a fact that it is. If I analyzed it and dissected it, were they different? Well, of course, because they were two different people. But the level of love, I would have to say, was about the same. It was about the same. And no, if you're thinking I was dilly dallying with both of them at the same time, no, I was not. Um, one of those people didn't even know that I loved them that way. That was an understanding that we had. Um, and it was okay. It was okay. Love is love, and love can be wonderful and beautiful, and all of those great words that are used in lyrics of songs and poems and stories. But it can also be very painful. We know that, especially when it ends abruptly, or is taken away, or not reciprocated. And we've lived long enough to have experienced all of those things. But your love is real. Your love is, it's strong and it's resilient, and embrace it. Continue to embrace it. And I guess that's all of my contribution to this. Charlie looks at her. Again, I say thank you. I say that a lot, huh? Well, that's okay. That's good. That's good home training, isn't it? Well, I have had good home training. It means a lot to hear you ladies share your lives with me. I don't know how much I remember, but I'll feel it. I think I will feel every word that you said. Mika is looking at her closely. That's an excellent way to put it, because you will. That is that is true. It won't be overwhelming, but it will be with you. the parts that you need the most will be the strongest. I guess that leaves me and my story. My my name means justice. I think it suits me well. Um, I don't like injustice, and for too many generations of our lives, we have had to deal with that. I have felt so many times that we are the forgotten people, the invisible people, the unwanted people. It has been a huge burden to carry. But our people have carried it well. God has brought us through a lot of valleys and climbing to mountaintops and falling off mountaintops sometimes, or pushed off mountaintops, or so it seems. Well, you are a direct descendant of my part of our journey. We have strong women in every branch, all of us. Now, what defines a strong woman? Well, we give love freely and completely to those that we love. We don't have large circles of friends. We never have. We have family. Now, does that mean that we don't have friends outside of our family? No, I'm not saying that. If anything, the small circle of friends that we have, we bring them into our family and we just expand it because not only is it our faith that I think brought the four of us together. Well, no, not brought us together, but that we share that part in our core. But it is our willingness to love. You know, not everybody is willing to love. Sometimes it's fear of being rejected and fear of being hurt and all of those things that are human characteristics. But that doesn't seem to be an issue with us. And we have a lot of great love stories. Um, like your Gigi, we have thoroughly enjoyed watching their love story unfold and your family grow. There are others, of course, but because their story is more recent than some of the other ones, the same is true for your grandparents. Um, Although it is your grandfather that is our direct descendant, your grandmother is, or your Grammy as you call her, she's an amazing woman. And some of that, which I'm sure you know, has to do with God placing her in our family and her I don't know if I should call it a relationship. That doesn't seem to be strong enough, but her relationship with Sarah is it's amazing. It's wonderful. It is a complete blessing. The only thing that separates the mother and daughter relationship is the fact that she didn't give birth to her and they do not share blood in that way. Their relationship is the way it should be, or we wish it could be, because we have all had some mother in laws from hell. Becca says, yes, indeed, honey. Mm hmm. We have. So, see, we know our situation, our experiences may be a little bit different with your relationship with your mother in law, Charlie. But just because she's white does not mean that she's worse than some of the mother in laws that we have had who look like us. I'll remember that. Yes, you do remember that. You do remember that. It's not about the color of the skin, the race, or the ethnicity. It's the heart. So you remember that. I will. Minka continues to speak. I gave birth to three sons and three daughters. And as with all children, they were so completely different. It was an amazing journey full of love and bumps and mistakes and recovery from those mistakes. And sometimes not. Sometimes not. It hurts to have to see a child of any of the generations of your lineage have to go through challenges that they cannot seem to recover from, but it happens. Saida says, oh, yes, it does. It does. Megan continues. Drugs and alcohol and the love of money and power and all the things that the dark side puts in our paths to tempt us have always been present. They're not new in this new generation, and each generation tends to think that their generation has it worse than the ones before, which is not true. But that is the way it's always been seen. This world is full of challenges. This world, I don't even know if temptation is a strong enough word. It's because it's so there. I will say that this newer generation, the younger generation, there it feels like it's sometimes more. I don't think that it's necessarily more. I think that they have been exposed to it quicker and with an intensity that I don't think we've had to deal with before. That comes with technology and what I will readily, sadly admit is less caring for their fellow humans. There's always been pockets of people who were totally selfish and had their own agendas, but the present generation has mastered that. But it's part of God's plan. It's part of God's plan. We still have free will. We can still walk away. The hard part is so few people want to walk away. Again, let me be fair and say there's always been people who didn't want to walk away. There's always been people who wanted excitement in their life. They wanted to be, I don't know. I don't know. But I think you know what I mean. Oh, I do. I do know what you mean. And it is sad. It is sad to see so many people so disconnected from other people, not just their family and their friends, but people in general. I sometimes have to limit the news reports and things that are out there because it's just too hard. I know. I know. I think we've all shared that throughout the generations, whatever news reports and things and that we were privy to, and even before phones and all of those kind of things, word did get around. It took a little longer, but information was passed along. So it could be overwhelming. It has always been that way, which is why a simple life, simple existence, an environment that has been simplified can be so good for the soul, for the spirit. Sure, there are exciting things out there that people want to explore and experience as well. But our people have gotten away from so much of what made us strong. We made full lives, happy, full lives with productive children and living productive lives with so little. We had so little. We didn't have an abundance of anything for so long. And we survived. And now we can't survive. Or, it's not fair. So many of us can't survive without certain criteria being met. It has to be a what is it you got? A FICA score or a certain zip code in a certain part of a city in a certain part of the state at a certain time in history where the educated is worth more than the uneducated, where society's idea of who or what is beautiful determines the worth of the person standing next to them that may not fit what that means. It's like we look for things to set us apart. Yes, there's always been the haves and the have nots for a longer period than people want to talk about. Our people want to talk about. There have been segments of our population who have always lived well. And yes, they tended to think they were better than those who did not live as they did. We're human, we're a mess, you know? Um, but our people seem to have a better grip on that. We understood that our challenge, our fight for justice and equality and just being treated like another human being made us the same. Our fight was the same. It didn't matter where we lived or how much our clothes cost or how much education we had or what we looked like. We were still looked as, seen as, thought to be less than them. And it's almost like we understood, okay, we want justice, but we understand you don't want to leave your place in this world. We get that. You in your mind, you're fighting to survive to keep your place. We're fighting to survive just to be a part of that place. Just to be thought of as human. Just give us a chance. And now it seems in this generation, the last couple really, okay, we got a little chance here. Now, we want to be like you. We want to be like them. And we don't care anything about those that haven't maybe gotten the same chance, or maybe they had the same chance but they didn't have the same support, or it just wasn't for them. It doesn't make them better than us, and it will never make those of us who want to be them better than anyone else. And I know that I'm not really telling you things about me. I'm talking about justice, and I'm sorry. It's just, no. Charlie Speaks. You are telling me about you. You are. You all have told me, using your own words, your own choice of words and examples, you shared who you are with me. And I cannot tell you what that means to me. The words that you speak, Minka, I've heard so many variations of those same words from my family. And the people who are in my circle. When I look at you ladies, I see strength and love for who you are individually. And as has each branch, I think I'll use that, of our family is represented so well and so completely. And I hope I don't remember the sadness that I am going to feel when I leave all of you. I don't want to feel that sadness. I don't. Minka Speaks. You won't. You won't take any sadness away from this place. This is your safe place at this moment. And if you left here with sadness, then it would void out everything else that you have received. That is just not how God works. We are not God. We're not angels. We are just women who share your blood and your DNA and your cells and everything that makes that part of who you are. And we are honored to have had this time with you.